On this video, we're going to look at how come the Super League got announced and failed almost instantaneously. Now we're going to look at it through an entrepreneurial lenses, and we're going to see what they could have done potentially different to make this succeed or make it be received with better appreciation.
Breaking news now, and an announcement is expected shortly on a proposed European Super League, a breakaway league.
Big clubs in Europe want to abandon the Champions League and form their own European Super League.
Now I have to define that a bit more. I'm not going to go into a huge definition, but just to give a little framework of what the Super League is. So the Super League was comprised of 12 top teams of Europe. And the teams were, and I have a list over here so I won't mix it up, but the teams were Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal. So those are English club teams. We had three Spanish teams, which were Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona. And finally, the three other ones were Italian teams, which were Juventus, AC Milan, and Inter Milan. So these teams met up and said that they want to do a Super League together. Now this is the framework. They also said that there's going to be 3 other teams that are going to join, and then there's going to be a potential of 5 other teams winning the possibility to join this league. For people who don't understand how football works in Europe or soccer, is that every single country has their own league, and within that league, once they start playing their leagues and they win, the top teams of those leagues go to a major competition which is called the Champions League. So by doing this over here, they were potentially causing certain structural difficulties within the whole structure of what football is in Europe. But this video is specifically on looking at why it failed, how was it presented, and what you could do differently, and correlate it to a business aspect, because there's a lot that we could learn from this as business people. So we break it down in 3 major steps. Let's jump into it. All right, let me just do this real quick. For my Cristiano Ronaldo fans. If you're new here, my name is Christopher Dediana. Welcome to my channel, the #1 place for peak performance, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. So the first thing we have to look at is start with why. Now, anytime you're starting a business, you're bringing a product to the forefront, you have to look at what is the why. And the why has to be very, very driven towards the consumer's needs and desires. And over here, the way that they presented the Super League, it was quite clear and obvious that it was more of a way to make money for certain clubs, and it wasn't for the greater picture or the greater good of the game in itself. And that became very clear, and that's why there was a lot of pushback, not only from the fans, but even with certain teams that were asked to go into this league and they said no, such as some German teams like Bayern Munich, and such as some French teams such as Paris Saint-Germain. So just there, you realize that, hey, there was something already that was on rocky foundations in itself. So when you're looking at it in a business sense, just like Simon Sinek said, and this is why the book that I brought over here, Start With Why, you have to be able to eloquently explain what is the why. Now, if the why was explained in a different way towards that, hey, we're presenting a league that the top teams are going to be able to play together more regularly, and it's not going to be only through brackets that potentially they'll play together, or not just like a Champions League, it's going to be something more regular, that would have been maybe more interesting if as well they would have presented an opportunity for every single team to be available or to be allowed to join this team. So that's why it caused so much problems. The why wasn't clear, and when it was really clarified of like, hey, this is actually for financial gain reasons, not for the game, not for the final product, then it was hard to sell in itself. So the why was off right off the bat, and that's what you have to look at as a business person. What is the why? Present the why. And one correlation that we could do with the why is thinking about Apple products, right? You're not buying necessarily an Apple product because it's the best laptop. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of PCs that have better specs than this laptop right here. But the reason why you buy the Apple product is because their why is so defined and clear that you resonate with it, and that's why you're buying it. If we look about the why of the Apple, they're people that are changing the industry. They're different. Their ads, it's very artistic in a sense because they're conveying the why. So right here with the league, the why wasn't conveyed at such a high level. It was for the wrong reasons. The second point to look at is market research. Listen, if you're starting a new company, brand, or service, you have to do a certain amount of market research. You have to look at, is this something that's gonna work? Is it not gonna work? What's the market's gonna say? Now, obviously you could put a certain product out there, and you should put a certain product out there at a certain point to see what the people are gonna say. That's the best way you're gonna get your market research. But there is a minimum to be done. And in this scenario with the Super League, I feel like they didn't look into the actual culture behind these European clubs. How do the people approach it? How do they see it? How do they live by it? That's almost like a religion for them. And they completely, I feel like, disassociated that. They only went to the financial reason behind it. And one way they could have done it differently is that the main backing was actually JP Morgan, which is an American firm. Just there in itself, to respect the culture of the European brand and the European football, if they would have just brought as a main financial backer a European company, just that would have went in easier. The fact that it was an outside investing, and there's nothing wrong with outside investors, and I'll tell you why I think it was JP Morgan, but just that was one thing that they didn't even think about, or I don't know if they thought about it or not, but they could have done it differently. Now, when we're talking about why it was potentially JP Morgan, is because the main drivers that put this league together are the companies, or not the companies, but the clubs that are owned by American finances and American groups. Now, for sure, if you're an American, you're going to be rubbing shoulders with certain people, and those are the people you're going to work with. So that's why it's easier for certain Americans to do business with JP Morgan, because they see them all the time. Towards if it was a European person and it's in Europe, you're going to see more European people, so have a better percentage of chance to do business deals with them. So that's essentially the reason behind it. But that being said, they still should have been more eloquent with the market research to see, hey, what is the intrinsic value within the culture for every single one of these clubs? How are they going to see it? Are they going to see it as we're ripping it off, or how can we present it for them to see it in a better way? Which kind of goes back to the previous point, which is the why. If you see there's some value within this video so far, don't hesitate at all to give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell notification to find out when our weekly videos come out. So the third point is capitalism versus communism. Now stick with me over here. So when you think about entrepreneurship, it's capitalism, right? And it will always be capitalism. And in a sense, what is capitalism is as much as you work, you can earn, and that's perfectly okay. If you want to work, you'll earn, that's your right. That's capitalism. Towards communism is as much as hard you work, or however you do what, or whatever you do, there's a governing party that decides how much you're going to get and how much everybody's going to get. And that governing party could be company, could be government, could be X, Y, and Z. So now when we turn it to the Super League, it is more towards a communism approach than a capitalistic approach. Why is that? It's because the 15 founding clubs will always be within the league. They will not be there because they're the best. They will not be there because they're the richest. They will just be there because it's been decided. Now, granted, there's 5 slots that other teams could come in, but those teams have to fight to get in, and the 15 that are the founding clubs will always be there. So there's a huge discrepancy there. The way to go about it is, if you want to do a league, make it that it's accessible to everybody, and everybody has to compete and get there through merit. So if you deserve, you're there. If you don't, you're not, which is essentially the Champions League in itself. When you're looking at it as an entrepreneurial lenses, this is not entrepreneurial. It's completely opposite of entrepreneurial, which entrepreneurship in itself is capitalism. So you always have to be on the aspect of, hey, you want to succeed, make all the money in the world, you're allowed, but you cannot prevent other people from doing the same. So you have to be on a evil playing field. And in this scenario, the way that it was structured or presented initially just didn't make sense on that end. I hope you guys saw some value within this video and enjoyed looking at this presentation of the Super League with an entrepreneurial glasses and perspective. And I love doing this as I'm a true entrepreneur. So every single time there's something that happens within an announcement within the world, I always look at it, well, what can I learn as an entrepreneur? What can I learn as a marketer? What can I learn to grow through this? And I hope these points will help you out within your business, or just in itself understand it more. And this is an ongoing saga. Initially, a couple of days ago, when they announce it. They had already the teams that I mentioned in the beginning that have announced that they're going to be part of it. Now there's only 4 teams left. Most of them step back, so I'm not saying it's going to work or not work. It's still an ongoing saga. I'm really interested to find out what's going to happen. And that's actually the question that I want to ask you guys. What do you guys think about the Super League? Do you guys agree, disagree? What did you guys see within their presentation? Maybe they could have done differently within an entrepreneurial tendency or look at it. Comment down below. Would love to see what the community is going to say on that end. Furthermore, there's some more videos over here that could interest you. Over here, you have my entrepreneurship series. Over here, you have my book review series. Over here, you have my peak performance mindset series. And you have my profile picture that you guys can click, subscribe, and join the family. I hope you have a blessed and grateful day.